Hello guys, it's Nick and welcome back to my channel and another video. If you're new here, hello, my name is Nicola. I'm from Ireland. I'm now in Pune, India, and I wanted to make a video today, guys. If there's any Indians who are thinking of, maybe you've already decided, maybe you're on the fence to study in Ireland, this is a comprehensive guide for you. All of the possible things you may want to know about studying in Ireland, I will answer in this video. But yeah, I hope this helps someone, and if you have any other questions, you can let me know in the comments below and I will get back to you there. So let's get into it. So the very first thing I want to cover is, why should you choose Ireland? Why study in Ireland? Maybe you're stuck between UK, Canada, Ireland, and you're struggling to decide like which one is best for me. So like, what are the benefits of studying in Ireland? The first one is that we have many globally ranked universities here in Dublin in particular. We have the likes of Trinity College Dublin, UCD, which is University College Dublin, DCU, which is Dublin College University, and other ones we have NUIG in Galway or UCC in Cork. In general, our education system is considered to be very good, and we do have really good universities to back that up. So naturally, it can be a good choice for you because you can really rely on the education that you're going to get here in Ireland. We have all different kinds of fields that you can pursue: business, healthcare, medicine, IT, tech, finance. So we have all of the fields that you could possibly want to enter in, so you won't need to worry about, will I find the course there that I want to do? So this combined, it means that your CV is going to look great when you finish and you are looking for that job. You have a good education and you have a good university on your CV to back up the knowledge that you will have gained. There is a huge Indian community here in Ireland, and in particular in Dublin, the capital. So you will not be short of finding other Indians that you can meet and that can help integrate you into life in Ireland and get you settled in. And that can be really beneficial because it can really help you get settled and feel at ease when you're trying to settle in and adapt to a new country and a new life. Some factors to consider are as well that, is your course that you want to study in Dublin, the capital, or is it in another part of Ireland? More than likely, it's going to be in Dublin, Cork, or Galway. There are obviously other universities in other places, but those are the main cities in which have majority of the universities. It is important to consider what life will be like in each of those places because they do differ greatly. In Dublin, it's the capital, it's much more populated, and there is just more kind of life there. There's more options of everything, and there's just more there, is how I would describe it. In Cork and Galway, they are also cities, but they are smaller. They do differ quite a bit. For example, if you spend all of your education years in Galway versus in Dublin, there will be a difference on the kind of lifestyle. Galway is much smaller. You may have just less options of everything, less options of places maybe to go out and socialize, etc. So just to notice that. However, in the West, there is so much amazing scenery and the wild Atlantic West, and lots of places to travel if you're a nature lover. So definitely just different factors to consider to really just make sure you delve into the area in which the university is, and just to confirm with yourself that that's a place I would be okay living. I do know Indians that were studying in the West and they did find it a little bit more isolating. There definitely isn't as much going on as in Dublin because majority of the rest of Ireland is quite less densely populated and our population is quite small. So people do have a different experience in a city like Galway versus Dublin. So just factors to consider when you're choosing which course or which university you should choose. And last point to say on this is why you might choose Ireland to study in is we do have a lot of particularly like new tech companies and everything that come and settle their headquarters in Dublin in particular. And that's because we actually have a low tax incentive for businesses. I don't know too much information on it, but I just know that because of that, that's why a lot of tech businesses kind of came to Dublin, and that's why we did have a tech booming industry. It is still there. We'll get into that a bit later on like job search and things about the job market, etc. IT and tech has always been kind of the leading industry in Dublin in terms of Ireland is continuously looking for skilled workers in those areas, and that's where, for you, if that's a field you've studied in, Ireland could be a great choice for you. So I have a separate video on if you are searching for a job in Ireland. So if you are looking into further information on after study, things to expect with that, do check out that video. So the next point to discuss is what fields are in demand in Ireland. For example, if you're in a more creative field or doing something like that, Ireland's probably not going to be the best option for you, simply because we're such a small country and there just isn't the demand for those types of jobs. However, we do have a critical skills list which lists out all the jobs and fields in which Ireland is searching for skilled workers in. And that is where this is greatly beneficial for Indians, is that a lot of Indians are really skilled in areas that us Irish aren't. There is a good chance that if you're studying in something like IT or tech or medicine, that you will have the skills and background in which will be applicable to get a critical skills permit. Because if you are in one of these specialized areas, there's a very good chance you would be able to get a job after studying. And I have also seen this myself because I was working in the property industry in Ireland, and so we were housing people that were just moving here from abroad, from India, but from other countries as well. So I've seen what kind of jobs these people are doing. I've seen their visas. We had to check their paperwork, etc. And a huge amount of the Indians that were coming here to work were on had the critical skills permit. And they were earning very good salaries. So definitely if you do fit into the criteria on that list, that would be of huge benefit. Okay, so let's move on to the admission process to applying for university. The first thing you're going to need to do is get an IELTS certification to show proficiency in English language. It's advisable to complete this 6 to 12 months before admission date so that you make sure you have the documentation ready to go. That allows time as well for any bumps along the way or if you have to retake it. The criteria for what you need to apply will greatly depend on if you're applying for a bachelor's, which is an undergraduate, or a master's. So you should definitely check out the website of the actual university you want to apply for to get a full overview on what documentation you need. I really advise just to do this in advance as possible, just to make sure you're really prepared and that you're not trying to scramble for documents last minute, which may result in you not being able to submit on the deadline in case anything goes wrong. For each university, this criteria may differ. I don't have information on all of the documentation you may need. It will depend on the course. It will depend on what you're choosing to study. But yeah, just make sure to check out the university website and to contact them if you're not sure. You can always email them if you're not sure or not clear on what documents you need. In general, the application deadlines for universities are generally between December or February each year. So again, that can give you a rough idea of when to kind of start collecting your document to have it ready for December. And then in terms of applying for a visa, if you get approved, generally 2 to 3 months before you're due to start the course, you should have begun applying for the student visa. It can take a number of months to get the student visa. It can be a long process. So just make sure you've applied far enough in advance so that you are not stuck and missing out on starting the course on time due to any visa issues. On the topic of the visa, there are requirements for the student visa, financial requirements and otherwise that you will need to consider. So the financial requirement is that the government need to see proof that you have a minimum of €10,000 per year in a bank account to sustain yourself in Ireland. So that is to cover your living expenses per year while studying in Ireland. However, honestly, that probably isn't going to be enough. It would be enough to just barely survive. And I will get into the cost of living later on. But yeah, that is the requirement in terms of by law. And to be eligible for the student visa, you need to either have proof that you've paid the tuition fees already for the course, or that you have sufficient funds, or that your guardian or that your sponsor or whoever is paying has sufficient funds in a bank account, etc., to show that you can pay for the tuition. So moving on to the cost of education in Ireland, again, this varies depending on whether you're doing a bachelor's or a master's and how long the course is. Is it 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? And also the university. So different universities on different levels will have different fees. As a general bracket guide, you can expect to pay between €10,000 to €35,000 per year for course fees. Breaking that down further, if you are doing a master's, you can expect between €13,000 to €30,000 per year for course fees. And for an undergraduate, you can expect between €13,000 to €20,000 per year for course fees. And areas such as medicine or specialized fields will be more expensive. I would definitely recommend looking up scholarships as well. Obviously, being an international student anywhere in the world is always more expensive than going to college in your own country. So definitely look into scholarships as well. There is lots of scholarships available in Ireland for Indians as well. So definitely check them out on the university specific websites just to make sure that you're not missing out on a potential opportunity as well. So next, moving on to accommodation. This is really, really, really important. Because there is a housing crisis at the moment in Ireland, particularly in Dublin, finding accommodation can be really tough. Doesn't look like it's changing anytime soon, so it's really important to get ahead if you know and you've gotten an offer letter. It's really important to try and secure accommodation as early as possible so that you're not stuck. However, there's lots of areas in this which will be difficult for you to do that if you're not physically here. So the first options are, do you want to stay on campus at the university or off campus? Each will have a different living experience. This will also maybe depend on which age range you're in. Maybe if you're younger and you're just looking for the complete college experience, maybe staying on campus would be better for you. Or if you're a bit older, maybe you're doing a master's and you want more of a quiet life, I think off campus would probably suit you better. To note that living on campus will be much more expensive than if you live off campus. The cost of student accommodation in Ireland right now is absolutely crazy. It's very, very high fees. But if you can afford it, then that's the options to weigh up is, does that kind of day-to-day living suit you? Maybe you want to be in close proximity to the university. Maybe that's your priority. So all those factors to consider. So from working in the housing industry in Ireland, I have full knowledge of all of the details of accommodation. So basically, to give you a rough rundown, presumably you are going to be renting when you're here in Ireland. You really need to consider what kind of lifestyle in terms of home living you are looking for. So the first option for renting would be house share. So this means renting a room in a house and you're sharing it with other people. Maybe they will be other students, maybe they will be working professionals, maybe it's with a host family. There's so many different areas here of who you could be sharing with. So definitely make sure to find out more about the other people in the house. But in general, if you are studying, if you're a student, this is the most affordable option for most people. I was always living in house shares literally up until I came to India because many of us cannot afford to live alone, purely because of the cost of housing here. So the cost of renting a room in a house varies greatly on whether you have your own bathroom or whether you're sharing that. The kitchen will usually always be shared. So generally you can expect, if you're lucky, you could get one for €500, maybe a single bed room. However, nowadays it's more looking like 700, 800, even 900, even into the thousands for just to rent a room in a house. So you're looking at between €500 to €1,000 per month on rent for a house share. I know of other Indians who live in Ireland and live in Dublin, and they were doing like a room share. So that basically means like you're sharing a room with another person or maybe multiple other people. You have to be really careful of this because the housing laws in Ireland are actually quite strict. You cannot just stay on someone's floor if they are in a lease agreement where there's only 2 people meant to be there. It's a huge breach of the laws there and you can get seriously in trouble for any kind of stuff like that. So it's just not worth the risk. But for example, if you have 1 room, 2 single beds, and that's how the property came, then that's fine. That will probably be cheaper again. So maybe between 400 to 500, maybe possibly a bit cheaper if it's particularly small. It just all depends on many factors and the location as well. If it's in the city, if it's further out from the city, stuff like that. The next option would be a studio apartment, which is basically like a room that has everything in it. So it has your kitchen, it has your bed, all in a one room. These in general are very small in Ireland. I know where I worked, they were very small. You will probably be shocked when you first see the size of some of the accommodation in Dublin. It is extremely small. In many of them, you won't even have room to store your suitcase or any kind of extra items you have outside of your small wardrobe, hopefully. You're looking at between 1,200 to about 1,800 potentially if it's a bigger one. So it just varies again on location and size. And then for a 1-bedroom apartment, you're looking at between potentially 1,500 per month if you're lucky, and then right up until 2,000, 2,100 even. So that's a rough guide of what kind of rent to expect for which kind of property. A lot of us in Ireland do house share because we just can't afford the others, especially if you are a single person and you're living, you're by yourself, you don't have a spouse or a partner, then, then a lot of the time the house share is the best option. It's also a good option if you're just moving here for the first time. It can be an opportunity to meet people and it can be a great way to actually navigate life in Ireland by living with other people who have been living here maybe for a few years. One thing to be very careful of as well, if you're searching for accommodation on Facebook groups, to be very careful. There's a huge amount of scams going on there. Every day there's like posts of these people that are just moving to Ireland or have just moved and they've got scammed by someone thinking that, this is a legit thing. So just never ever pay a deposit before you've seen the property in person. I personally think it's best to go through an agency. Maybe I'm biased because I worked in them, but you have more cushioning. If you rent from a landlord who is doing unethical things, they can just throw you out at any moment. And obviously you can go legal with that and, fight for your rights and stuff. But in general, it's just safer to actually rent through an estate agency who are working for the landlord. It's just going to be probably a more ethical experience overall, but it's just a bit safer. It's a bit more secure. The websites to search for accommodation are mainly daft.ie. That is the main website people search. There's also one called rent.ie, but I always use Daft. I found it to be the best and easiest platform to use. And another option, guys, for Indians is to search in Indian communities on Facebook, in Facebook groups. There's one community I know of called Indians in Ireland, and I see all the time people have posted there, searching for a roommate or searching for someone to rent my room in my house and things like that. So there's always kind of options there, especially if you want to stay close to an Indian community and live with other Indians that maybe will share same food preferences or anything like that, it may be easiest and best option for you. So definitely join those groups because you can make friends in them, and there's lots of opportunities going on there for Indians in those groups. So moving on to transport. Transport in Ireland is hit and miss. It's hit and miss. As a general sense, we don't have great public transport, especially in the comparison to the rest of Europe. Ours is very behind. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it is. So the main modes of transport are the bus, public bus, the tram, which we call the Lewis, and cycling, like on a bike cycling. These are the three most affordable and most common ways to transport yourself around Dublin. For a Dublin bus, if you are a student, you can get a student leap card. So make sure once you are enrolled in a university and get your student ID card that you apply for a student leap card for your transport, because you will get significant discount off your monthly costs by having that card. Having a student leap card, it caps at €20 per week. I hope it's still the same. I'm going based off when I was in college, but I think it's still the same. So €20 per week to use the buses, and that's unlimited journeys. So you can travel as far as you want within Dublin using Dublin Bus for €20 per week. So it's pretty good. It's actually reasonable enough. However, just to note, if you're using a mix of transport, if you're using Dublin Bus and the Lewis maybe to get to work, maybe you live further out and need to get two modes of transport, it will be a bit more. I don't know exactly the rates on using both of them, so you need to check that out on the Lewis website and Dublin Bus website to check that out. And if you're just using it on a more day basis, it caps at €5 per day. So again, within one day, you can travel as many places you like and it will cap at €5. So in general, you should budget approximately €80 to €100 on transport per month. That's not including now any kind of taxis or anything like that. Maybe if you like socializing and you want to go out at the weekends, taxis in Ireland are very expensive, so do budget extra for that. You could potentially be paying €20 or more just to go from one end of the city to the other, so definitely to budget more for that. The bad thing about our transport is we don't have any like transport that runs through the night. The last public transport times is usually like 11:30 or 12. So after that, if you are on a night out and you're coming back late in the night, then taxi is really your only option. Another way a lot of people in Dublin travel around is by cycling, because Dublin's a very small city, so it's very cyclable. I'm not sure if that's a word, sorry. Yeah, it's also a bit, I don't know, for me, it always just looks quite dangerous. I don't know why. Obviously, in comparison to India, it's fine, but still, like going through the city, there's lots of traffic. A lot of the bus drivers and taxi drivers hate cyclists, so there's a whole thing going on there. But it is a really affordable way because you can just spend, €80, €100 on buying a bike, maybe cheaper if you can get a second-hand one. Yeah, you will save a lot of money doing that. But as a general consensus, budget €100 per month on transport. That allows you a little bit of leeway. Maybe if you want to take the Dart to somewhere further out in Dublin to a scenic area, the Dart will be the mode of transport you may use. So just to factor in those extra costs that may be outside of the bus, for example. So roughly to budget about €100 per month for transport, and more if you plan to socialize after hours. So going back to the financial requirements for the visa, where it says that you need minimum €10,000 per year for transport, food, rent, living, you can see how that would not go very far at all based on these costs of living. €10,000 per year means you would have about €800 per month. So €800 for rent, food and transport is, you're going to be struggling to get food by the end of that. Let's say you are lucky to find rent for only €500 or €600 for a room. Transport is going to be another 100, and then you're only left with €100 for food and socializing for the whole month. So that really will not get you very far at all. So even though that's what the guideline is for that visa, it really isn't enough to sustain yourself to live in Ireland for a year. So just to be conscious of that as well. And the last thing I want to talk about is socializing in Ireland. Maybe you're worried how you'll integrate into society there and how to make friends and how to build a little community for yourself. So Irish people in general, we're very friendly, obviously. Honestly, everyone is generally very nice. Like if you talk to anyone or strike up a conversation with them or ask them a question or ask for directions or anything like that, 99.9% of people will respond to you and be nice and be kind and be smiley and be, nice and helpful. So in general, not to be afraid of Irish people. They are very nice, they are very friendly, quite warm people. We love humor. We disguise a lot of things in humor, and we love kind of having that banter and kind of roasting, I feel like Indians call it. So we also have that as well. So you can still have that similar humor with Irish people as well. I think like in any country, it can be hard to integrate with locals. I think it does go for really any country, but I have had friends in the past who weren't Irish, and they opened up about this to me, that like they felt like it's difficult to connect with Irish people in general, that it's difficult to really be close friends with Irish people. Like I said, everyone is very friendly and nice, but on a deep level, and to be like close friends with someone, it can be hard to like integrate yourself into social groups in Ireland. And so that's coming from what I've heard from non-Irish people that have moved to Ireland. It can be hard because I think that even like people I know, majority of people, their friends are friends that they either went to school with, or that they went to college with, or that they grew up with. So yeah, it can be hard to break into those kind of really solid friendship groups because a lot of them formed kind of at a younger age. I do not fit into that. I don't have any friends from school or college that I still am friends with and talk to. So yeah, but I definitely feel that way now because I'm kind of in now, my friends are mostly people that I worked with. So there's so many, so there is obviously so many ways you can meet people and make friends. You can join groups. I feel like in work, people do just naturally gather friends from work and stuff like that. So in general, I don't think you will have a super hard time meeting people and making friends. But yeah, on a deeper level, to find friends to, you know, really confide in and, you know, be really close with, I do think that can be a struggle in Ireland, purely because we can be a little bit closed off. Like we can be quite reserved unless we know someone. Again, that's not going to be everyone. Like I said, we're all very friendly, but yeah, it can be harder to integrate like in a deep way into Irish friend groups, I feel. So just to expect that, and don't get disheartened if you like meet someone and they're not putting in so much effort to seeing you all the time or be close with you. Just give them time. Once they get to know you more, and like gradually, once it's a gradual thing, eventually it will get there probably. But yeah, just to expect that that could take some time. And naturally, you will probably want to make friends with other Indians that are living here. And there's, like I said, so many Facebook groups that are specifically only for Indians that you can join, meet people. They have meetups, they have different things going on. Lots of meetup groups in general where you can meet people from all over the world. I used to go to them myself. Ones that I met, ones that were advertised on meetup.com. So we have an Ireland version of meetup.com, and yeah, you can meet people from all over the world. Whenever I went to those groups, there was never many Irish people. It was mostly like people that have also moved to the country. So but that's great for someone who's coming here to study and you are just looking to meet other people that are in the same boat as you, because those are the people that are also trying to make friends and create a life and meet new people. Eventbrite.ie is a great one because there's lots of different events you can join, different classes, workshops, meetups. So there is a lot of things you can get involved in. The best suggestion is whatever hobby you have here in India, when you go to Ireland, you can continue that hobby. You know, it doesn't need to stop just because you're studying or anything like that. So if you did badminton or tennis or anything like that, like there's lots of clubs here and stuff for that kind of thing, especially in universities. For 100%, all of the universities will have those communities and teams that you can join as well to keep up any hobbies you have. So lots of options. So guys, that is it for my comprehensive guide. I hope this was helpful for some of you. On a last note, something that is important to consider is your long-term goals. Why do you want to study in Ireland? Are you planning to get the qualification and go back home and use it in India? Or are you planning to stay on long-term in Ireland and create a future there? And if so, you can check out my other video on if you are looking for a job in Ireland, just to have a little idea of the job prospects after you study. But either way, studying in Ireland will be an amazing experience for you. It's an absolute great way to see more of the world, to completely immerse yourself in another country and another culture, another way of life. It also is sufficient time for you to then decide, is Ireland for me or do I want to go somewhere else? So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, and if you found it helpful, do give it a thumbs up and do subscribe if you haven't already. And I will love you forever. And I'll see you in my next one. Bye.